Okay, well, welcome everyone. This is our taped webinar on Intern Placement Tracking, or IPT, for field students. So you can feel free to listen to this taped webinar, and that will answer most of the questions. It also gives you instructions on how to get most of your additional questions answered. You won't be able to chat in on this webinar, but we'll also have a series of live webinars that you can chat in on, as well as brown bag training sessions that are available for you. So Intern Placement Tracking is a software that we're implementing at Western Michigan University that allows for really strong communication between field students, field instructors, faculty liaisons, and the field office. It's actually designed by the spouse of the field coordinator from Brigham Young University, and it's very specifically designed for social work field education, which is great. All right, so we're going to talk about all of the topics here on our webinar, and also answer, like I said, give you information on how to answer additional questions that you have. So Western Michigan University, starting in the summer of 2014, began to use IPT, which is a web-based software, meaning that you can access it anywhere you have access to the web, and enables that full communication between all of the important stakeholders in field education. Just as a note though, even though it's a web-based system, it's also a secure server system that's username and password protected. So only those people that receive login information from Western Michigan University's Field Education Office will be able to log in, and even then your permissions are based upon your role as a student or a field instructor or a faculty member, for instance. So to log on to IPT, now I got to do the thing with my hair. To log on to IPT, you'll just go to www.runipt.com. This is a page that you might want to bookmark for later use, as you'll be using it throughout your field application process and then throughout your field experience. When you log in for the first time, we'll send you a username and password for your first use, and so your organizational name will always be, at your first login and any other time, WMICH, all lowercase, so WMICH, and then we'll send you a username, which is an alphanumeric combination. It might be, like below we have DZWMFFF169. Your initial password for IPT will be lowercase IPT, and then the system will prompt you to change your username and password after your first login. We would recommend that your username is your WMICH email address, but it can be anything you want. And your password needs to be at least 4 characters, and it is case sensitive. If you haven't received initial login information, or you're having trouble logging in, feel free to contact us at the field office, and you can do that by emailing or calling Erica Ongstead at erica.e.ongstead@wmich.edu, or calling 269-387-3201. If you have trouble logging in, or you've forgotten your username or password after that initial login, you can click the button that says Forgot Your Username or Password at www.runipt.com. That'll take you to this bottom sheet, which is where you'll enter your organizational ID, your user type, which in this case will be field student, and your email address. And then submit that, and the system will automatically send you a new one-time username and password. Keep in mind that at no point does anyone from the field office or anyone except for you know what your username and password is. So the system can reset it for you, but we don't know what your username and password is, which is part of what enables the securities of the system. If you're still struggling, feel free to contact us, and we'll help you figure it out. All right, so this is your IPT homepage. When you log in, you'll be at your IPT homepage. So you'll see that you're at the Western Michigan University homepage for the School of Social Work, and that you're logged in as your name, and then your role is student. If it's anything other than that, then there's something wrong with your login, and we'll need to fix it for you. A couple of things that you need to be aware of on both this top toolbar and also the left-hand side toolbar. The top toolbar enables you to go to your student detail, which is information about you specifically, as well as to view field organizations that have available field placements. On the left-hand side toolbar, you have My Forms, and we'll talk about those in a minute because those are all the forms that you use when you are in your field placement, and also Change Password. Change password, which you can do anytime, might enable you, for instance, say you're using the same password as your GoWMU password, and then when that password needs to be updated, and then your other passwords are out of date, so you could go in and change your IPT password so they match up if you choose. Or if you wanted to have like an even cooler password, like say SnazzyCat4000, I'm just saying. All right, so if you go to your student detail page, you can see all of the information that we have begun to upload for you about yourself as a student that'll be entering field, and this is where you'll add your field application. So let's go over this, for instance. This is a test student that we have a student detail page for. And so what you'll start to do is to input information about your home or current mailing address, your emergency contact information, and then the group that you are in, so like the cohort that you're in. So this test student, for instance, is in the Kalamazoo MSW Foundation for 2014-2015. So this would be a student who began field in fall of 2014 and continued in spring of 2015. And for your email address, you'll need to use your WMISH email address within the IPT system. You can do a couple of different features with on your student detail page. One of them is that you can upload a picture if you want, and so you go to this top left side of your student detail page, and there's a button that you can click called Upload Picture, and that will take you right down here so that you can browse a photo that you want and upload that photo. You can also upload anywhere there's these paper and pencil icons is an area where you can upload or edit information in the system. That's not like a drop down or a text box. So for instance, as you're uploading your resume and your narrative responses for your field application, if you have a specialty field proposal, like for instance an employment-based proposal or a continuation proposal or a block grant proposal, these will go here. There's also a spot in your application for your for a criminal history statement. So if you have a criminal background, we'll ask you to speak to that, and you can upload that information there. All right, so field assignments, once they're made, and field assignments are made by the field coordinators. I'll talk about the field preferences in a minute, but when you have a confirmed field placement, you'll be able to see that by scrolling down on your student detail page and seeing the field placements that you have. So this is an example where this test student has been placed in fall of 2014 with a test agency, and it's and their field instructor is Jane A. Test with a phone number and a specific email address. You don't have to worry about the code thing, but we have some specialty codes for specialty field placements, like for instance, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy field placements. So once your placement is confirmed, you'll be able to see the contact information for your confirmed placement, and then your field instructor can also see the contact information for you as one of the students that's placed with them, and that way you can make sure to get in touch with each other that way. All right, field organizational preferences. And I'm going to talk about how to sort for this, but at about the middle of the page of your student detail page, as you're uploading your field application, there'll be this field organization preferences. Now, in the past, what we've done is that you've handed in your field application, and then after that, the field coordinator has reviewed it and said, given you some feedback if you needed to make any changes, which will still occur, and also has said that, like, based upon your application, these are the field agencies that I would recommend. Now you'll be able to, we have a much more transparent process. So now you'll be able to look at and research and sort all of the field agencies that are available to students that accept your particular type of cohort of students. So BSW or MSW Foundation or MSW PP&A concentration or IP concentration, and select up to 3 field organizations that are your top 3 preferences. And then I will be able to, or the other field coordinators will be able to look at those and determine which of those 3 to send your field application out for first review, or If those 3 are full at some point, then we'll develop another 3. So we'll keep doing that, and you can see here that even when you have your field organization preferences, you can still like move them up or down, or you can also delete them from your preferences if they're no longer preferences for you. All right, so let's go to the field organization list, and this is how you're going to research new field, potential field placements after you've uploaded your application. So the tab that you're going to go to once you're at your home page is Field Organization Detail. And then what you're going to see is an A through Z listing of all of the field organizations that we have at Western Michigan University that currently have available placements. And so you can click on any one of those field agencies, or there's also, like, you can look at just the LMN agencies if you know you're looking for a particular agency, or you can search for a specific agency. Say you're looking for the Academy of Detroit West, and you know that that's the agency that you're most interested in. So in this instance, I clicked on A-Test Agency, and then you start to see all of the information about A-Test Agency. And this is the information that A-Test Agency, this particular field organization, has uploaded into the system for students' review. So this is their opportunity to do essentially outreach and marketing to potential students so that they can attract the best students. All right, so if I'm at my field organization list, I want to talk about how to sort field organizations. So when you're doing your research, you want to be able to sort by different characteristics. You want to be able to sort by field agencies that operate in the area of mental health. You want to be able to sort by field agencies that are in a particular county. You want to be able to sort by field agencies that accept either BSW or MSW students. So these are all the sort features that you can have. So if you click on this sort button at the field organization list, then you can sort by different things. So this is sorting first by primary classification. So it'll show field agencies in aging, and then in AIDS and HIV, and then in child welfare, and et cetera, et cetera. And then by county. So you can scroll down. So that's the second order of the sorting. So amongst agencies that operate primarily in the field of practice of aging, you're going to see agencies in Allegan County grouped together, and then Berry County, and then Calhoun County, and then Kalamazoo County, and then Kent County, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're going to be able to sort by only those agencies that accept MSW students in this particular case. And then you just click Do Sort, and then it'll show you all the different agencies. So this is a really helpful thing in terms of figuring out how many mental health agencies that accept MSW students are available in Van Buren County. And you might find that there's 4 or 5 available, and you might find that there is only 1 available. So that really helps your research. You can do this kind of sorting and then looking at the individual field agencies as much as you want to really understand what are the available options for you as a field student in terms of your preferences. So once you find an agency that you want to add to your top 3 preferences, you go to the bottom of their field organization page and just click on the button Add Preference, and then that'll add that to your preference list, and it'll add it as the first, second, or third one, depending on how many you already have there. But then you can just go into your student detail and move those up and down at will. All right, so now let's assume that well, I want to talk a little bit about the way that field applications happen. So first of all, of course, you're doing your field application. So you're submitting your electronic self for agencies to consider. And then you're selecting your preferences of which agencies you'd like to be placed at. After that is done, then the field coordinator will decide to send electronically yours and potentially other students out to one of your top 3 preference areas. So we'll send, so let's say I'm sending 3 DSW students who are all interested in a test agency out to the field instructor at a test agency for review. At that point, the evaluation process changes from the field student to the field instructor. So the field instructor is reviewing your electronic or paper self and deciding on the basis of that if they'd like to offer you an in-person interview. Then at the in-person interview, the process becomes mutual again. So you're interviewing the field placement and the field instructor, and they are also interviewing you. And about 85% of the time after that interview, the field agency decides to offer the student a placement, and the student decides to accept a placement if offered. If either the field agency decides not to offer a placement or the student decides not to accept a placement if offered, then we move on to the next student in the agency's case or the next field placement in the student's case until we have that right match of field student and field agency. All right, so let's assume that we've got a field placement secured now and you're getting ready to start field. I want to talk to you about your forms and how you do all of the forms in your field placement. So if I'm at the home page for myself as a student, I see this My Forms, and then there's a parentheses with the 1 in it, and that means that you as a student have one form that is ready for you to start or review. So there are basically 3 forms that field students complete during the course of their field placement. There's their time log, which keeps track of their time in field and their activities during that time. There's the safety and orientation checklist, and there's the learning contract, which also contains the learning contract evaluation. Let's first talk about your time log and safety checklist. So if you click on, at your home page, your My Forms button, you'll see all 3 of those forms that are available to you, and you can just click on View on any one of those forms and then get to these forms. So this is your time log on the left-hand side. You're going to put information about your student name, your field placement site, your field instructor, and which semester you're doing your time log for. And then your time log becomes a running tally of all of your time in field in a particular semester. So what you're going to do to add time is to click on this plus sign in green here. You're going to add a date, and then you're going to check on the competencies that you worked on that particular day in field. So in this case, the student checked competency number 1, conducting yourself as a professional social worker, and competency number 3 for critical thinking. And then you see this little edit icon here. So once you click on any of these paper and pencil icons, again, that allows you to either upload or to edit information. So when you click on this, you can type in the task or activity that you completed during that particular time in field. Then you'll do your start time and your end time in 24-hour time format, and then the system will automatically calculate the number of hours you were in field on that particular day, as well as your running tally of total number of hours. This last column is the field instructor initial line, and you'll see that as a student that this is not highlighted, so when your field instructor logs in, they'll see a place where they can initial that they agree or confirm that this is the time you were in field. This competency list is really important for you because you can see that sometimes you're spending a lot of time on some competencies but maybe very little time on other competencies. So as you map that back to your learning contract, you'll need to spend some additional time working on the competencies that have maybe been neglected previously. It's also really helpful for your field instructor. So past the first couple of weeks in field, you'll find that you're doing increasingly independent work so that you're not following around your field instructor all the time. As your field instructor reviews your time log, this will help them to understand what you're doing in field, even though you're not in their presence at all times. So you'll see here that on the second day, they were working. All right, sorry about that hiccup for a second. That they were working on competency number 2, and that they spent 2 hours doing that, and you'll see that the time log already updated from 9 hours plus 2, so a total of 11 hours. Now let's talk about the safety and orientation checklist, which is typically done within the first couple of weeks of field as part of your orientation process. So here again, as a student, you're going to put in the information about yourself, your agency, your field instructor, and your semester, and then you're just going to click on all of these options to the right of the areas, like this is under background checks, criminal recipient rights, or fraud background checks. You're going to click on the drop down and it's going to say review or not applicable, and you're just going to click whether you reviewed it, or in this case there's this other was not applicable, and then go all the way down to the bottom. For both the time log and the safety and orientation checklist, at the bottom there's an electronic signature which allows you as a student and your field instructor to sign off when they are complete. So with the safety and orientation checklist, that's usually done at the beginning of field, with the time log, that'll be done at the end of the semester. So in order to click that you're completing the document, you'll click on this blue thing that says click to sign completed document. And then it will apply a date and time stamp like we see below here. This field instructor signed this time log on August 15th, 2014 at 5:38 p.m. This also locks it for a particular user, locks the form for a particular user, so that you can't go in and edit this anymore once you as a user have signed it. All right, let's talk about the learning contract and evaluation. I realize there's a whole bunch on this form, and this is the crux of the field learning kind of quantification, if you will. So again, this is a form that is a student-driven form. So you'll see up at the top that you're going to add information, as always, about yourself as a student and your field instructor, secondary field instructor if you have one, and a faculty liaison. You're also going to click the drop-down button for your cohort. You should have a cohort assigned, so if you're a BSW or MSW Foundation student, those are the only learning contracts that will be available for you. If you're an MSW IP concentration student, you will only have MSW IP concentration, the same for PPNA. If you have other than what you should have as your assigned cohort, let us know, because that's something we need to fix. So, and then the learning contracts look quite similar to the way they always have, in that there's each competency, which is spelled out, and then there are practice behaviors underneath each competency. And then you see again this edit button. So this allows for students and then field instructors to provide feedback and faculty liaisons to provide feedback or editing at the beginning of the semester and throughout the field placement to add activities, add or change activities or products. So in this case, the practice behavior is advocate for client access to services of social work. And the student put in, I'll advocate for the children at my agency to ensure they receive the best placement possible while in foster care. I'll also advocate on behalf of birth parents in court to ensure that all family services are accessed. So once the student puts in that information, then the system automatically adds a date added note. Note that all three users, the field instructor, the student, and the faculty liaison, can go in at any time and edit this. So say you put something initially and your field instructor says, you know, I'd like it to be a little bit more specific. The point of these activities and products is really to be able to see, to demonstrate. They should be SMART goals, so they should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time limited. If, for instance, what you put on the activities or products is, I will have the Affordable Care Act fully implemented with all of its aspects by the 1st of December in all of Kalamazoo County, that's probably not an appropriate, realistic, or time-limited goal. So you have to think about, what can I clearly demonstrate as products, or what clearly demonstrates my understanding, my synthesis, my analysis of this particular practice behavior, and also what can I show that becomes part of my portfolio that does that. So when you add this, or whenever you change it, this date added will change, and then you'll see this. There's a date completed button. So there are some tasks in your learning contract that are really time limited, like I'll attend lead day in Lansing to advocate on behalf of social work services. So once you attend lead day, you can put the date completed there. And then we see these first and second semester assessments. So these are a drop down, and you can put from 1 to 5. So at the end of the first semester and at the end of the second semester, students will self-assess their progress on each practice behavior. And then field instructors will go in and assess their progress on each practice behavior. So please note a couple of things. One is unacceptable progress. So a score of a 1 would indicate an internship jeopardy situation or a job jeopardy situation in the case of a job. If you're getting any 1s or even any 2s, this should not come as a surprise to you, and it should be something that you're working on with your field instructor and your faculty liaison throughout the semester to rectify. 5 is advanced competence. That's your field instructor feeling like they cannot possibly imagine you doing any better in this particular practice behavior. What we are hoping for as a school, and what we actually report to our accreditation body, is those students that at the end of the first semester receive a score that has a mean of 3 or emerging competence by each competency, of which there are several practice behaviors under each competency. And at the end of the second semester are achieving a mean score of 4 by competency. So, so keep in mind that a 3 at the end of the first semester is right where we want you to be. It's not a C. And a 4 at the end of the second semester is right where we want you to be. It's not a B. And as a matter of fact, if your scores are all 5s at the end of first semester, that's great, and it means that you're operating at a really high capacity, but it also means that we need to add something else because you're already doing the maximum level of exhibiting the practice behavior in the first semester. So your faculty liaison is really going to ask you to kick it up a notch in the second semester. All right, like the time logs and safety and orientation checklists, there's also a spot for all of the different stakeholders to sign the learning contract. And there's actually 4 different spots for this. At kind of the midway through the first semester when you've got a good solid draft of the learning contract, at the first semester evaluation, at the beginning part of the second semester, and at the end of the second semester. Again, you'll click on this button and then your name and a date and time stamp will appear. Unlike the time logs and safety and orientation checklists, when the learning contract is signed, it does not lock for editing because it's really meant to be an ongoing evolving document. So it's not until the end of the second semester at the evaluation point that the learning contract locks down for editing. Uploading documents. So you're going to be uploading your resume, your narrative responses, and other information like specialty field proposals or criminal history statements to IPT. To do that, once again, you click on this paper and pencil item and then upload the document that you want to upload. So make sure IPT and the entire School of Social Work will be using your wmich.edu email throughout the field application and the field education process. So make sure that your WMISH emails aren't going to your junk folder. Also, as we implement IPT, there are going to be hiccups or things that you would like to be better or different. So please give us suggestions about how we can make the system better. You can contact me at jennifer.harrison@wmich.edu or 269-387-3173 for additional ideas on how to make the system better. We've got a really awesome IPT implementation team that worked hard over this summer and continues to work over the fall to get the system up and running, including Ashton Hilton, who's a work study student, LaShawna Jones and Kristen Burns, who are graduate assistants, Erica Ongstead, who's one of our staff members, and Mary Ellen Sartoris, Marion Triplett, and myself, who are field coordinators for the Grand Rapids, Southwest, and Kalamazoo main campuses, respectively. This is our field team and all of our contact information, and we welcome your emails and calls if we can ever answer any questions for you about field education, about IPT, or about what are the best movies to see at your local theater. Thanks so much.